Look at me. Look straight into my eyes. Are you standing on the edge of retirement? Or maybe you are already there, and you are starting to feel that cold shiver of financial panic? The transmission in the car blows out, a medical bill lands on the counter, or the air conditioner quits in the dead of summer, and you realize you are a little short this month. So you start looking online for a quick fix, and you stumble across an app called Branch. You see the words cash advance or earned wage access, and you think, oh, praise be, this is the lifeline I need. You ask yourself, how much can I borrow from a Branch cash advance? Can this app save me? I am here to give you the harsh, unvarnished truth, because if you don't face the reality of how these financial tools work, you are going to compromise your security, and at this stage of your life, your financial safety is the only thing that matters. Let's talk about exactly what Branch is and how much you can actually get. If your employer partners with the Branch app, you can advance up to 50% of your earned wages in a given pay period. The absolute maximum cap they will let you advance is $1,000. But wait, it gets tighter. There is a maximum limit of $500 per individual advance request. That means if you are eligible for the full $1,000, you have to make 2 separate transactions. But here is the real question you need to ask yourself. If you are retired, or if you are about to retire, how are you earning wages? Branch is an employer-sponsored app. It relies on your company sending your hourly tracking, your salary data, and your worked hours directly to the app. It calculates your limit dynamically based on the hours you have already logged at your job during that specific pay period. It looks at your hourly rate. It looks at whether you have any outstanding advances. It even checks to ensure that at least 65% of your expected direct deposit from your last pay period hit the account successfully without being devoured by tax levies or garnishments. Do you see the massive problem here? If you are fully retired and living on Social Security, a pension, or withdrawals from your 401k or IRA, you do not have an employer logging hours into the Branch system. You cannot just download this app on your smartphone, link your retirement account, and pull out a $1,000 cash advance. It does not work that way. The app requires active employment with a business that has specifically opted into the Branch network. I know what you are feeling right now. You are feeling afraid. You are thinking, Susie, if I can't use an app like this to bridge the gap when an emergency hits, what am I supposed to do? My savings are tight, inflation has driven up the cost of my groceries, and I am terrified of running out of money. I understand that fear. It is a terrifying feeling to realize that your monthly fixed income doesn't have the stretch it used to. But leaning on cash advance apps, payday loans, or short-term borrowing mechanisms is not the answer. Even if you are working a part-time job in retirement and your employer happens to offer Branch, borrowing against your future self is a trap. Think about the mechanics of what happens when you take a cash advance. When payday finally arrives, Branch automatically deducts the money you borrowed directly from your paycheck before you ever see a single dime. If you borrow $500 today to cover a sudden bill, your next paycheck is going to be short by exactly $500. Now, what happens next month? You are short again. You don't have enough to cover your regular expenses because you already spent part of this check last month. So what do? You open the app again and you take another advance. You enter a vicious, never-ending cycle of robbing Peter to pay Paul. You become trapped in a loop of debt, living on money you haven't technically received yet. At 70 or 65 years old, you cannot afford to live life on a financial hamster wheel. So, what is the actionable takeaway here? What must you do today to protect your retirement? First, if you are still working and preparing to retire, you must stop looking at cash advances as an emergency fund. They are not an emergency fund, they are an emergency creator. You need to build a true, liquid emergency savings account that holds at least 12 months of your living expenses. I don't care if you have to cut down on eating out, cancel 3 subscription services, or delay buying new clothes. You must find the money to build that wall of safety. When you are retired, your ability to quickly generate new income to recover from a financial mistake goes way down. You no longer have 30 years of career ahead of you to make up for bad decisions. Second, if you are already retired and facing a cash crunch, you need to look at structural solutions rather than temporary band-aids. You need to evaluate your fixed costs. Can you downsize your home to clear out equity and eliminate a hefty mortgage or high property taxes? Can you transition to a single vehicle if you are a multi-car household? Can you look into local utility assistance programs, senior tax exemptions, or nonprofit resources designed to help retirees manage their medical costs? Do not allow fear to paralyze you into making impulsive choices on a smartphone app. If an app tells you it can give you an advance with zero interest and no finance fees, remember that it still expects that money back on your very next payday. If you do not have a steady, growing cushion of cash sitting in a traditional savings account that belongs entirely to you, you are living in a state of financial vulnerability. You need to be strong, you need to be smart, and you must protect the money you have worked your entire life to accumulate. Do not borrow against tomorrow just to survive today. Build your fortress of security, understand the limitations of these digital tools, and take absolute control over your financial destiny.